Oh, no, he didn't.
Girl, yes, he did.
Hey, girl, hey.
Hi.
Podcast. Oh, no, girl, yes. Thank y'all for coming back. If you are watching us, thank you. Make sure you subscribe as well. And if you're listening, thank you for subscribing. If you're watching or listening, don't forget, you can also become a Patreon supporter, which means you get more behind the scenes dish, more information about what's really going on between here and yonder. Mm-hmm. But for the free podcast and the ones that anybody, including the people we talk about, can randomly click on, we keep it light. All right. So, but we appreciate y'all checking us out. Hopefully you are doing well. Today's topic, and you might feel attacked because we about to kind of attack ourselves a little bit in this one.
Okay.
Are we naturally toxic? And so obviously this podcast is about relationships and dating, but in any relationship, you can show up as a toxic person and not realize you are the toxic person. If
Right.
you immediately had to rattle off some of your toxic traits, not the list I wrote out for you.
Yeah, I threw that one away.
But give me your top 3 toxic traits.
Let's see. Definitely selfish.
Mm-hmm.
Bossy to a fault.
Okay.
And this one is hard. I don't know what the word would be to describe it, but I'm introvert / extroverted. Like, I like to be by myself.
And you think that's toxic?
I think it is in terms of a relationship and sharing space.
Mm-hmm.
As relationships grow, you tend to share space, and I still kind of just really am comfortable in my own space, period. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so maybe,
okay.
That's not necessarily a house and car, just space. Like, I love when I go home at the end of the day and I'm by myself. So
right.
It's kind of,
And I think some people don't love that. And that's why we always clarify that we're happy singles. Like, that's one of our favorite parts about being single is being by ourselves. But we realize that in wanting to be with someone, we're going to have to figure out a space where you can manage both. I would say my top 3 toxic traits is I'm really not forgiving. I hold grudges. And I realize my fear.
Not forgiving and holding grudges the same?
No.
Not really?
No, because you can, is that not the same?
I think it's the same.
Because I can forgive somebody and still be holding a grudge.
Oh, okay. I got you. Okay.
Yeah. So those are 2 separate. They might be cousins, but I can forgive you and I still will never talk to you ever again in life because I'm holding a grudge. Okay. So I'm not very forgiving. I hold grudges. And I would say my number 3, which is usually most heightened in dating, is my fear of abandonment causes me to be the abandoner, meaning we ain't got to do this. We joke about punting the ball out the stadium. I'm going to abandon you before you abandon me. And that's toxic, that I become what I don't want to have happened to me, essentially, right? So those are my top 3. But of course, I'm sure if we went down the list, we ain't got that kind of time. But as you're listening to this episode, think about what's toxic. And so when we say, are we naturally toxic? As a little kid, you're taught how to share. You're taught how not to kick and scream. Don't hit her, share, all these things that we don't naturally just come out doing. Right. And so if you haven't had parenting or guidance as a young person on how to be less toxic as you are as a default, where do you grow up and figure out how to be not that toxic person in a relationship? Because it's easy to see what other people are doing. That's the easiest thing we can all do, is say, well, he did this or she did that. But it's like, okay, obviously, if we haven't learned how not to be toxic or selfish or, manipulative or all those things. Yeah. How do you know that you're that? Is it just by getting broken up with a bunch of times or what?
I think somebody you trust will have to call you out on it. Because if you've grown up from a toddler age of the selfish me to, 20, 30, 40, 50 years old, and you've never been called out on your crap. Not that you've never been called out on your crap, because that's the thing. Like for me, for instance, if people I trust and love don't confront me about certain things certain issues I may have, then I probably would never be able to receive it well. So somebody along the line or along the way who loves you should be able to call you out on your crap, basically. And you have to be in the point where you can accept it and, try to strive to make a change.
I will say I probably have fewer people that call me on my crap more so than I notice it. It might be 15 years after the fact. But I think part of my personality does not make people feel comfortable calling me on my crap, even though I call people on theirs, sometimes I think friends, and I feel this a lot of my friendships over the years, whereas what you just said, lovingly say, hey, I don't know if you know this about you. I feel like my friends probably have not felt comfortable doing that to me because the impression is, well, she thinks she got it all together, or she telling me what I'm doing, but it's like, well, if you don't call me on it, right, then that's your job as my friend, is to call me on it. Right. And so crazy don't have no reflection. So yeah, if ain't nobody called you on it, you might not have a reason to think that you are the problem, right? And so that's step one, is being able to lovingly have relationships and friendships where you can have your crap called on you, and you not be defensive, but also lovingly offer it back, and not even in the real time. Because if I say, hey, I don't know if you notice that you do this, and you say, oh, well, you do this, well, then that's probably not going to be received. Right. That's not going to go over well. Right. But we all show up in a moment where I know we've had conversations like, hey, do you notice that you tend to do this, and this? And it's like, no, I hadn't noticed that. And either you naturally defend, or it might be the first time you're like, oh, I had not noticed my pattern or my participation in that pattern of outcomes or things like that. So a lot of times when you are the friend that kind of seems like they have it together, people don't call you on your crap, and it's not because you're not crappy. Right. So I'm hyper self-reflective, and I'm sure I still miss 20,000 other things that somebody else would like for me to get to. I feel like you're agreeing too much on this. You're like, yeah. I'm like, wait, I'm sorry, stand by. I'm sorry, what were you saying? I'm sorry, come again. Was your microphone? How do I mute you? But in figuring out who we are in the relationships, I've already been hyper aware about myself. Because I'm not in a lot of long-standing adult relationships, I don't get a chance to be hyper aware about myself in a relationship, because by the time it comes, either I've already abandoned it or it's nothing else for us to learn. In my current dating situation, my current relationship, I'm getting to experience myself more. And some of it has been less than stellar.
You want to share anything specifically?
Well, I've already done the abandoning. I've already attempted abandoning the relationship, not because I don't want to be with this person, but because my feelings got hurt. So I can make it stop first, right? And I think I've offered that as an idea twice, right, already. And after the first time I did it, it was in the context of an argument. And looking back, it was an argument. It wasn't a one-sided argument, but I was more upset than he was, because I felt like I was the wronged party. And basically, he was visiting, he was at my house, and he took a 20-minute personal phone call that wasn't life or death. And I felt like it was rude. Now, I'm never going to be convinced that that's just not rude. Okay. But in the context of my reaction to it, in the context of how my reaction was, we ain't got to do this. We ain't even got, okay, you know what? We never got to see each other. I can look back and say, girl, you be what? And the fact that he responded to me, this argument went on for 2 hours. And so his response to it was, I feel like I have too much emotional credit in the bank for that 20-minute phone call to clear out that account.
You always get the good one-liners.
And that was it. Like, he was like, this don't change nothing for me. We fine and have it go. Now, he's divorced. He's been married before, so he has more of a concept of you can argue and that don't mean you break up.
That's what I was going to
I've never argued and not broken up.
Have you, this has been an adjustment. We've had this conversation about your relationship, we'll probably continue having, these little conversations when you learn these lessons, but have you accepted the fact that sometimes you can hate this guy, or this guy can absolutely hurt your feelings, Have you accepted the fact that that can happen and you can still stick around? Are you 100% in now? Are you okay, I know I can get my feelings hurt, but that doesn't mean the relationship has to end, because feelings do get hurt in relationships, and you won't be the only one doing that, on the receiving end of that. So have you fully accepted that yet?
I have fully accepted that. And when I say I fully accepted it, I'm saying today, right? So the next time it happens, don't be trying to play this tape back. I'm saying today. Yes. You and I were having a conversation. Okay, so that was the first time I did it. And then the second time, it sincerely was not about anything. It was a glitch in the matrix in our communication one week. And me and you were talking and we're like, why are men like this? And why listen to this? And why he do this? Whatever. So when he called and apologized and said, I want to move forward, I want to start anew, I'm sorry, I was at a loss, right? Because I know how to break up. I know how to glow up. I know how to move on. So I feel like now, after that happened, I was trying to encourage you to go on a date or something. And you said, oh, I can't wait till you hate him again. Because you felt like I was pushing you to pursue dating because I liked him again. And I said, well, what I have figured out is I am going to hate him again. That's what I said to you today. I said, girl, I just realized I am absolutely going to hate him again. And then I'm going to love him again. And then one day I'm going to hate him again.
Right.
So yes, today I feel clear on that does not mean we break up, that I don't have to offer that before he offers it to me. Even though he's not very emotional, I do think, and again, we all think this, but I do think or hope that he would communicate if he had a change of feelings or thoughts or plans in regards to a future, right?
He might not be emotional, but he's very honest and upfront.
He's honest and upfront. So I do believe that I don't have to try to break up before he breaks up with me, right? And so that's always been my toxic trait. It has served me well. It has protected me in the past, but it's still a toxic trait that out of fear of being abandoned, I become the one who abandons.
I was going to say, because I have that abandonment issue too, where I will walk away just because I just don't be, so that's a toxic trait of mine too that I didn't mention, but it is, it's probably not as high on my list, but it is definitely a problem. And I think one thing we've realized in the past several months is that even owning a trait such as that has probably been detrimental in relationships that could have formed. Because if a man meets you and he knows that you are willing to walk away and be just fine without him, you know what I mean? Then he may not be giving his all, because it's like at any moment, I mean, I make her mad one time, and I think I've made men feel that way.
Oh, I've definitely made men feel that way. I've had one I've shared before broke up with me because he said I made him feel like I could take him or leave him. And we talk about how fragile men are emotionally. I mean, they don't have access to communicate a lot of what they're going through or have experienced, and they're not as resilient emotionally as women. However, and I shared this with you recently, I can be honest and look at myself, my personality, my life, my career, all of that. I don't represent a safe place for a man. I don't represent, yes, this is going to be it. For a man to really say, I'm about to take these feelings that I don't bring out often and regularly and offer them to her. Not because I'm a bad person, not because I'm a liar, not because I'm manipulating, not because I'm looking to harm anyone. I just don't seem like a safe place. Yeah. And I totally appreciate that. I'm 46. I've never been married. I've never been close to married. I don't have kids. I don't have any stories of any attachments where you can see that, wow, I got attached. And I don't have those stories to share, right? So I can receive that. And the only thing you can do in knowing that about who you are as a person is how can you make that person feel special, right? Exactly. And not just, oh, okay, I'm going to do this because this is what makes people feel special. Is what does that person respond to?
Yeah. Right.
That he would feel like, hey, this is safe. And one of the things I've done in our situation is like, we're in October now, but in September, I said, hey, let's plan a trip for your birthday. Well, his birthday isn't until December. That was big for me to say, I plan on being here in December, but I also wanted to offer that to him to say, I plan on being with you in December, like I am not going anywhere. And I think that's all we can do is try to plan and offer them that.
Yeah, I've been, racking my brain and trying to figure out ways. I met a new guy that we just only been talking a few weeks to try to present a different Robin in the sense that I'm still the same person, but in the sense that I desire to be in a relationship and I desire to be in a long-term relationship. And I'm not just going to run away at the first sign of trouble. So that's a lot. And
that's a whole lot.
But some of the things that just some of the simple things, like I said, I'm selfish. I mentioned that. So I value my rest time. And with him, he works odd hours. So he will call at a different time where it may not be convenient for me, but I'll just perk up and, instead of saying, hey, can I call you back? Or, just, not making it all about me all the time, trying to implement him or, make space for him in my, my day-to-day routine and stuff like that. And just like, I'm trying to be conscious about how I communicate with him and not be so harsh. I'm still me, but just softening the edges a little bit, just a little bit.
It's exciting for me to hear you say that, because that lets me know this guy has presented something different to you, and that's even a desire. Y'all, if y'all been listening to us for a couple of years now, this is my little hard partner where, I'm all emotional and soft, and think about it. She's like, whatever, that's how it is. Oh, well, deal with it. So for her to have gleaned enough from this guy already very early on, that's exciting, because whether it's him or not, you have the capacity to do it.
Yeah, it's obvious this guy has presented, someone who I'm interested in and I like, and ready to explore more where we could go with this. But even if this doesn't work out, I feel like I can take the tools from what I've learned in our interactions and use it, in the future. If something, I hope it works out, but if not, I feel like I'm learning things as I go. So it's still a
and you know what? I think that's something that I've been recently talking about, the programming that we fall into. I think honestly, that really is the whole purpose of a relationship. I think people think about the companionship or personal love or whatever, but it really is to experience yourself. As we said, you're not selfish because you're by yourself. You're only selfish in context of relationship.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So most of the things that are toxic, the fact that I thrive in my own space or alone is positive, right? I don't need a team. I don't need a crew. I don't need a group. I can live my life. Well, it's only toxic in the context of I don't ever want to be with my partner. And so I think, to me, I'm learning the importance of relationships is being able to experience yourself differently, being able to challenge yourself and who you just normally are and naturally are undisturbed, which is beautiful. But then now you disturb that. And now what does that look like? What is that presentation? It's like that, the rose through the concrete kind of thing. Like, hey, something happened here, but still something beautiful can happen, and it can be different, but new. And I think that's what I would hope for I can get out of a relationship is, how can I be new and different in a more beautiful way? I mean, I'm pretty fly as is, but I would think that if there was a man who was attached to my dopeness and believed in my dopeness, and I made him dope and he made me dope, separate from who we are as fully formed people, especially at this age, right? He can't make me dope, but I can enjoy my dopeness differently. Right. Like, I'm a really good girlfriend. I've never felt like I'm a really good girlfriend, only because I'm rarely a girlfriend. And I've been challenged a lot by being a girlfriend with the people I've tried to be girlfriends with, where I'm like, well, is it me? Is it me? With this situation, I've had challenges, but I've also have learned that most of the challenges that I deem as challenges are based on programming. Meaning I have come into this thinking and feeling it should be this way. Now, is it because I think or feel it should be that way, or that's what somebody told me it should be? Right. Communication is a big one on that, and how you communicate with someone, or, and people would easily say, girl, so mine is a long distance relationship. First thing people say, ooh, long distance. Ooh, that ain't gonna work. And I point out, and not to be rude, did you know people can live in your actual same house and have your same last name and the relationship not work out? So proximity for me, obviously, is not a determining factor. It's who you are as a couple, who you are intentionally as two people trying to make a relationship and connection maintain. But what I have learned that there's a lot to learn about myself. You can always say things that you can say that makes you sound like a great catch. I'm not jealous. I'm not possessive. I'm not clingy. I'm not insecure. Well, guess what? Those things exist in a vacuum outside of a relationship. You don't know you are those things until you are booed up. And it is, why she keep clicking like on all your Facebook posts? Hey, well, it's been 3 hours since the last time he texted me back. He said he was going over there, but normally and now you become this person that you never would be.
It's easy to say what you wouldn't do in a relationship or outside of a relationship.
Yeah.
That's for anything, you know.
That's for anything. And we've talked about friends that we've seen going through it in relationships, and we can sit back and be like, girl, wouldn't be me. And we can also say, but you know, sometimes it be you.
Could have been me. Very well could have been me.
It wasn't me this time, but you'd be like, girl,
we have those conversations
I would not
like,
do.
You know,
and
we all been there.
Thinking, I've done it before, and I'll do it again. But when you're on the outside, man, you always are clear on your friend stuff and why they shouldn't do. Don't call him again. Don't accept that. No, he ain't worth it. And then you go back to your little secret place of, I'm just gonna text him one more time. And I mean, I'm growing up and realizing. I just told a friend that this morning. I said, listen, I'm learning the hard way because I've had people react negatively to me towards choices and decisions they made. And I may have encouraged a way of thinking or being, and then they still made their own personal choices and they hold whatever happened, hold me accountable. And I'm not into that. And I've even told you, if you go on a date and you ain't called or text me within a certain amount of time after the date, I got a problem with you. You know, so I realize I'm overly attached to people's stuff, and I'm learning that I have to stop doing that. One, because I need to not absorb everybody else's energy, but also I have my own business. I got business. But I told a friend just this morning, I said, because she didn't want to tell me something she had done in regards to talking to someone from her past. And I could tell she had been talking to this person because I had not been talking to her as much. So when I said, you know, I just feel like I haven't been talking to you, and she just kind of got quiet. I said, go ahead, tell me. You know, it was obvious that, you know, something was going on. I said, friend, I want you to do whatever makes you happy. I said, I am challenged when you're doing things that are not making you happy by your own admission. But if you're doing something that makes you happy, I support it, whether I understand it or not. Just be happy. Yeah. But when you tell me you're doing this and you're unhappy, then I'm like, well, why you keep doing that? You're not happy. But sometimes we're not gonna understand what makes somebody else happy, and it ain't for us to understand what.
And sometimes it's just in the moment of happiness, and then it still ends up not working.
Yeah, you look back and say, oh, okay, that wasn't happy. Yeah. We can look back at all the moments that we had all the butterflies and excitement, and we realized it was high level anxiety. You know, we didn't know if he was gonna call back. We didn't know if he was going to see him again, but we liked him so much and we got attached. We got so attached to that, right? Because it was the unknown. Well, I don't know if we're going to see each other again. Well, I don't know. I think he likes me. Well, he said, and now I'm in this situation where I originally was like, this dude too casual with me. I feel like he ain't all hyped up on me. And he's looking at me like, we together, I'm here. What are you talking about? I'm like, wait, what is that? And so I'm having to learn how not to be the needy, insecure person who needs excessive validation only because I've never received it before. What did I tell you? It's something called some kind of dissonance where the little kids, when we play peekaboo, when the little baby can't see you, then you really went away. And for me, some parts of a relationship is that for me. If I'm not talking to you or seeing you, are we together? Do you still like me? Do you even care about me? I haven't talked to you all day. We broke up. I can move on. You know, you start building up that wall. I ain't heard from him yet today. I'm going to move on. Then I become toxic and detaching. Yeah. So it's a lot of layers that if you're not open to learning yourself, or as I say, you know, we got to get our reps up. When I encourage my girlfriend just to date, every guy you date is not going to be the one. It's not going to be somebody you fall in love with. It's not somebody you need to keep dating. But you get to experience yourself in those moments differently. This woman on TikTok was saying she has much shorter dates now because she realized that she would be entertaining herself in these conversations. And so when she consciously stopped talking so much, the dates were much shorter. And I thought, you know.
I bet you be entertaining yourself, don't you? In your dates.
Oh,
because you can hold a conversation. Girl.
Because they'd be a different character for me to play off of, right?
Yeah.
I entertain myself thoroughly.
I know. I mean, you do that even without dates. I mean, you just...
by myself in a
room.
I
can only imagine how if it's just you and a guy you just met.
And he don't know nothing about me? Oh, it's on. Well, first of all, so when she said that, it struck me as I totally
get that. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
because they are not that interesting. They ain't even saying that much. So she said, when I realized I was entertaining myself and I stopped talking on dates, my dates are so much shorter and less interesting. So you're just like, really? Oh. What's that scene in Coming to America? And then I want to be an actress, but then I want to direct music videos, but then I want to write my own songs, but then I want to sing my songs, but then I want to, it's like that. So I know, so every time I see that scene, I'm like, exactly. Oh gosh. But I'm self-aware, friend. I am self-aware.
I know you are. That's why I say it. I'm like, she already know.
Yeah.
I want to hear from you guys about your toxic traits. Do you realize that you have some? Would you want to share them with us? I'm gonna post this clip on Instagram so we can see if we can get some feedback from you guys. And what are you doing? What steps are you taking to, get rid of those traits?
Work on them.
That I really believe we are born with inherently, like the selfishness, that whole thing. Like, I mean,
we are born as sucky people, right? We have to be taught out of our suckiness.
Yeah.
And some of it took. And guess what? We take for granted the fact that we had parents.
Yeah.
We take for granted that we had direction and that we had
guidance. Yes.
We had guidelines. We had requirements to live in the house.
Right.
We had, and a lot of people did not have that blessing. And you grow up and take for granted. That's why I wrote the book. I wrote about what things my mom would say, because it wasn't until I was a full grown adult that people would say, well, why are you like that? Or why do you think that? I'm like, my mama told me. My mama said it. My mama. And I'm like, your mama didn't tell you that?
Right, right.
If that's the only mama you ever had, you think that's what mamas say. At that point, you thinking mamas know what they're doing.
It's easy to take advantage of that thought. Just parents just being there and doing what they're required to do, because everybody does not have that same experience.
And even good parents didn't know what they were doing.
No.
So imagine a so-called bad parent who wasn't parented. I heard someone in a speech a couple weeks ago, and she's a parent, but she was saying when she had her first kid, she realized she was an unmothered mother. And it was like, so she didn't have a template because she didn't have her mom in her life. And now she's trying to be a mama. And it is really dawned on her of, I'm an unmothered mother. What now? And it's a lot of people are unmothered mothers, unfathered fathers. Every day of the week, right? And so it really is a blessing to be able to check yourself at the door. And everybody, that's a gift to be able to say,
it is, but it's not a black or black cloud on you to say, oh, I have this toxic trait or this, because that's what we're saying with this is inherent. Like, this is something that comes with just being a human sometimes. I think the problem comes is when we find out what that is, and then we don't take the steps to address it and become better people.
We say, oh, well, we'll deal with it. That's just how
I am.
We're all
dealing with our own toxicity.
Yeah. I've had a friend before who
I couldn't get it out.
We would argue about stuff, but at some point she conceded that she is not the most empathetic person. Well, once she acknowledged and said it out loud, I had got so much more respect for her and understood that when I'm saying how I feel about somebody, she doesn't have those feelings and she doesn't understand why I have these feelings, but I can communicate it a different way instead of feeling like she's a bad person for not feeling what I feel, right? And I think a lot of people struggle with empathy. I struggle with having too much empathy, and some people, I feel like that's the, I feel like if young people, if we taught empathy and encourage empathy, that would solve every problem in the world. So that is my strong.
It would solve, starting with our biggest problem, which is racism.
Right. If you thought about how you feel and realize other people feel that, a lot of times in politics, people don't support a cause until it happens to them. And it's like, well, or it ain't got to happen to you for you to have an appreciation for it.
Or sympathize.
Now, sadly, we feel stuff more when we go through it, but somebody's going through it. You ain't got to go through it or love somebody to go through it to have compassion. So I think that will fix the world. So again, that's why I wrote my other books. But it is one of those things where I am very empathetic. I want to help everybody. I believe everybody's trying their best. But with that comes the toxic nature of when I cut you off, I believe I gave you everything I had. I'm not going to forgive it. I'm not going to look for you ever again. And that didn't make me a great person. It makes me a person that has a lot of peace and calm, but I need people to forgive me and I need people not to hold stuff against me. So What's wrong with y'all? And are you working on it? I am working on mine, and I'm excited to see my growth. I'm able to see how different I am from here to there already. So I'm excited to, as you asked earlier, am I aware I'm going to hate him again? I'm excited to the commitment. I'm excited to feel committed, if that makes sense. I'm excited that I'm not committed to the idea of a boyfriend or the idea of I can marry somebody. I actually feel committed to this actual character, this actual person. And that's new for me. I'm not committed to the idea of being with somebody.
Yeah.
And this character is a character. So for me to say I'm actually committed to this character, I am saying a lot. And I'm excited about it. So look at us just growing up. My little baby over there growing up, getting a little soft on them edges, y'all. So again, regardless of whatever happens with this situation that she's in now, she knows that there's other versions of her that just need to come out. It's safe. And then, I mean, but as crazy as it is, what's safe? That'll be another topic. That's another episode. What is safe?
What is safe?
I just don't want to.
Because nothing is safe in my
Nothing is safe. And because I'm aware of that.
But we're going to stay on the positive.
I know. And that's why I said, because I'm aware nothing is safe, it causes me to still do this. I'm committed, but I'm going to have to be okay if this don't work out. And I'm now realizing, lean into it. It's okay. You are okay. No matter what happens in the world, you are okay.
Right.
You will be okay. All right. So let us know if you see this on Instagram, leave a comment. How toxic are you? Yeah, we want to hear what y'all are thinking. Thank y'all for listening. Make sure, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share the podcast. I'm sure we're talking about things that we talk about as friends, but you and your friends may have been talking about. Share it and say, hey, listen to this. We were just talking about this. We want to extend the family and the community for sure.
Yep.
In the meantime and in between time, oh no, he didn't.
Girl, yes, he did.